Alright, here we go, part 8 of this network referral. So I'm using this really handy tool just to strip away that dielectric, and that dielectric just offers extra protection but also keeps the signal confined within, and it's really important to have this removed because I need to make sure of a nice clean contact between the stinger and the pin inside of the tap. Now sometimes you get really lucky like this and you can just kind of peel it all off in one go, which just makes it super easy. So once it's all off, I can lube up the cable and lube up this peeler, and I'm just going to strip away the outer jacket and expose the alley on the inside. The reason for that is just you need to do this, otherwise the connector won't go on. It's as simple as that. So that's one side done. Now I can just do the other side. The trick is to put it on backwards and then peel it. Shout out to Steve who taught me that. Makes it super easy. Take your 540 connector and just push that on like that. Still a little bit of dielectric on that, so I've just removed that, and then just push on this other 540 connector. Now I just want to trim down those stingers just to make sure they're not too long. So the next step is just to screw this onto the tap, and you'll see my hand going up and down, and that's just making sure that the 540 is definitely secured in there as that 540 connector tightens. And then taking my adjustable and then this ratchet spanner, I can then just get that as tight as I can. Once that's done, I don't want to do the other leg up just yet, otherwise it'll make it really difficult to tape it up. So I'm just getting my amalgamating tape here, and I'm just going to start from the top of that connector and just completely cover it all the way down, and that's just an extra layer of protection against things like water and dirt. So once that's done, I'll then add some insulation tape over the amalgamating tape, and again it just offers that extra protection. So that's one leg done. I just need to repeat that process on the other leg. So as I'm actually screwing this on, the taps after this tap will actually start to come back online, so those customers come on a little bit quicker than the ones fed from this tap. But again, just taking that nice ratchet tool and just making sure it's nice and tight. So I'm just going to quickly plug my meter on and kind of do two things at once. So I'll check the meter just to make sure that the signal's all good, which obviously it is, otherwise I won't start taping that up just in case I've made a mistake. But same process as the other leg, amalgamating tape all the way down over the connector, and then some insulation tape as well, which is a little bit tricky because I've gone bottom here, so it just makes it a little bit more difficult to get that round. Alright, so the signal's good and that's all done. So now I can just start taking off the cables connected to the old tap and start putting those onto the new tap. So as I do that, all of those customers will come back online. But I've just snipped that connector off just because it looked really old, and I don't really want to put that on my nice new shiny tap. So we'll just give that customer a brand new F connector on their drop cable and get them connected back on. As always, need to make sure everything is nice and tight, so just using the 30 pounds torque wrench just to make sure that it is. So this cable that I'm taking off is an RG11 cable, it's not an RG6. Now, some customers might have an RG11 cable purely because they're too far away from the tap. So an RG11 is used instead of an RG6 purely just to prevent that signal loss, because you get more loss on an RG6 than you do on an RG11 because the size of the cable is different. But just adding a new connector onto another drop cable just because the connector that was previously on there was a little bit old and a little bit rough. So I just want to make sure that all these customers get the best service possible. So once that's done, connect that onto the tap and get them back online. Alright, on to the final customer. So you can already see that that cable is definitely a little bit bigger than that RG6. It's a little bit more difficult to maneuver into position, and the connector is obviously a lot bigger. But it all goes on the same either way. So the only difference is I'll use a RG11 torque spanner, so it's just got that bigger opening just to get over that connector. So last thing to do is just put on these 75 ohm termination caps. So these ports aren't being used, so we need to cap them off, and that just prevents any type of ingress coming in onto the network. But that's pretty much it. So we got our new tap installed. That's the old one up there that you can see that we've taken off and replaced. And then we got my meter connected onto that tap, check the levels, and they look absolutely perfect. If you enjoyed this, keep watching, keep following, keep liking for more content.